Howdy, I'm Clint Walker and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Clint, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, Ukraine delays withdrawal of heavy weapons as bombing kills 2. And UN envoy visits Damascus in effort to reach Aleppo truce. And U.S. strikes on Syria have killed over 1,600, including 62 civilians. And UN panel could publish names of alleged war criminals in Syrian civil wars. And leading Egyptian activists sentenced to 5 years for challenging draconian anti-protest law. And U.S. and Iran resume talks ahead of March deadline. White House says Israel spreading falsehoods. And Gaza donations far below pledged $5 billion. Tally finds mass toll from Israel strikes on homes. And Islamic State Islamic Muslim terrorists claim suicide attacks and kills dozens in Libya. And Greece and Eurozone extend financial package for 4 months to austerity standoff. And judge blocks U.S. detention of Central American women and children, cites irreparable harm. And now Shabab threatens Westgate-style attack on Mall of America. GVTV News is broadcast on Grass Valley Television, division of Rural County's television network, whose focus is on community involvement. We also air on NCTV, but before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, ceasefire in eastern Ukraine remains in limbo 1 week after it came into effect. Ukrainian military says it cannot withdraw heavy weaponry from the front line because of continued rebel violence. Rebels took the strategic town of Debaltseve last week, several days after the truce began, but denied carrying out further attacks. On Sunday, 2 people were killed when a bomb hit a rally in Kharkiv, marking the 1-year anniversary of the killing of demonstrators in the Maidan protest on Yanukovych. Thousands also marched in Kyiv, while a parallel rally was held in Moscow to denounce the Maidan anniversary. Despite continued unrest, fighting had stopped in several areas, and Ukrainian military and rebels have exchanged dozens of prisoners. Top envoy on Syria is in Damascus today to bid a halt on government bombings of Aleppo. And they said last week that they received assurances from the regime of Bashar al-Assad to stop attacks on Aleppo for up to 6 weeks. If implemented, it would be the most significant diplomatic breakthrough of Syria's 4-year civil war. Mistura will go on to Turkey to bid to secure an agreement with opposition leaders who have not yet signed on. Over the weekend, Turkish forces carried out a raid inside Syria to rescue a group of its soldiers guarding an ancient tomb. And meanwhile, a new tally says U.S.-led strike against Islamic State in Syria have killed more than 1,600 people. Began 5 months ago. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights claims most of the dead were ISIS fighters, but at least 62 civilians were also killed. And United Nations investigators probe war crimes in Syria. Civil War says they considering publishing the names of suspects responsible for the atrocities. Panel chair Paulo Sergio Pinheiro accused both the Syrian government and Islamic State insurgents of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, and said horrific things are not being only perpetrated by the two terrorist groups, as the Security Council has defined so-called ISIS, Islamic State, and Jabhat al-Nusra, but very important not to forget human rights violations and war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by government forces by other non-state armed groups that continue to act to be present in conflict. One of the leading activists in Egyptian's 2011 revolution, sentenced to 5 years in prison, Alaa Abd el-Fattah, received term retrial following an original sentence of 15 years. He is accused of inciting a 2013 protest that broke law barring public protest. And as the verdict was read, al-Fattah's family and friends wept in the courtroom and shouted, "Down with military rule." The United States and Iran have resumed high-level talks in a bid to reach a nuclear deal before the March 31st deadline. Secretary of State John Kerry is meeting with Iranian counterpart Mohammad Javad Zarif in Geneva. Talk for the first time has included top U.S. and Iranian officials on energy and nuclear issues to work out the technical details on an agreement that would curb Iran's nuclear program and impose international monitoring. Both sides say they have no plans to extend talks in a second time after initially missing the deadline in November. Obama administration, meanwhile, is reportedly withholding details of the talks from Israel's counterpart over the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's effort to undermine an agreement. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said Israel has spread false information about the negotiations. So much for our friends and allies, the Israelites. Donation to rebuild Gaza from devastating Israel assault this summer have fallen short of the amounts pledged. While countries around the world vowed to give more than $5 billion to help Gaza rebuild, the Humanitarian News Service reports that 5% of the pledges have come in. Last month, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency said it had run out of funding for repairs and rental subsidies in Gaza. Meanwhile, the new report has confirmed hundreds of Palestinian civilians were killed in Israel airstrikes on homes during the summer bombardment after the bombardment of Hamas rockets on Israel. Islamic State Islamic Muslim terrorists have taken responsibility for a suicide attack that killed 40 people and wounded dozens more in Libya. Friday's bombing in the town of Cuba came after Egypt launched strikes on ISIS affiliate in northern Libya following the beheading of 21 Egyptian nationals. And Greece has reached a deal with European creditors to extend a financial rescue package for 4 months. Greece's new Syriza government sought the agreement as part of a bid to undo the austerity demands of the international bailout. Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis called the move the first step in a long journey. And he said, "Today we have found partners among those who, until recently, looked at us with suspicion. There are some partners still that are looking with us at suspicion. This is our challenge to win over their trust and intend to do that. We intend to do that. The only first step in a long journey, but a long journey have to commence with the step. Extension will be formally ratified after Greece submits a list of economic reforms." A federal judge has blocked Obama's administration wholesale detention of Central Americans fleeing violence at home amidst an influx of asylum seekers from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. Obama administration has been jailing women and children at so-called family detention centers where immigrants have reported prison-like conditions. On Friday, U.S. District Judge placed the policy on hold pending a full hearing, saying it caused irreparable harm. The administration has presented little empirical evidence. It deters further immigration. While officials have justified the policy by arguing an ongoing influx of immigrants could threaten national security, the judge ruled the incantation of the word national security without further substantiation simply not enough to justify significant deprivation of liberties. Attorneys say they expect the women and children will be released from detention beginning this week. Maybe we can give them food stamps, a place to live, and a job, and some tax refunds. The Somali militant group Al-Shabaab has issued a threat to attack Minnesota's Mall of America as it did in Kenya's Westgate Shopping Center in 2013. Mall says it has tightened security in response. And that's it for the World News today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. That's right, it's time for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter. So from these for visual aid only, these public records are obtained from daily logs issued from the enforcement. Grass Valley Police Department on Friday, 8:29 a.m. A caller from Mill Street reported finding drug paraphernalia. 8:29 a.m. a caller from Park Avenue School reported a theft. 8:30 a.m. a caller from Business 1000 block of Plaza Drive reported a man trying to pass off a fake $20 bill. 12:56 p.m. a caller from Highland Courts reported people yelling and screaming. They were advised to keep it down. 2:17 p.m. a caller from 200 block of Sutton Way reported a large group of transients who were gone when an officer arrived. And 2:32 p.m. from 700 block of Sutton Way reported a woman shoplifted makeup. And 5:24 p.m. a caller from North Star Place reported a person being evicted was apparently passed out drunk and was carrying out naked to a vehicle. And 6:52 p.m. a caller from Ophir and Bennett Street reported a small boy with a teddy bear who was walking up the street unattended. 7:52 p.m. a caller from Eureka Street reported a possibly becoming physical. Another caller reported a man pounding on a front door. He was gone when officers arrived. 9:28 p.m. a caller from Cadalpa Lane reported a physical fight. And 10:14 p.m. a caller from East Main Street reported an unresponsive woman who was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. And Saturday, 3:25 a.m., a caller from 300 block of Sutton Way reported a woman was trying to break windows of another woman's vehicle. About 4 people were involved who had been drinking. No charges were desired. And 1:44 p.m. a caller from Freeman Lane reported a man in a van was filming female employees of a business. He could not be located. And 3:37 p.m. caller from Road reported a transient camp. 5:03 p.m. a caller from Business 100 block of West McKnight Way reported a man might have been driving with the baby in a baby carrier strapped to his chest. And 6:53 p.m. a caller from Sutton Way reported a man stole a basket of groceries. 7:40 from Business Nevada City Highway reported a man passed out behind a wheel in a drive-thru. Staff was able to get him moving, but he was driving around the parking lot. Another caller reported the driver's side door was open and he seemed to be trying to hit things with his vehicle. Cited on suspicion of driving on a suspended license. 8:01 p.m. a caller from Dorsey Drive and Sedgeworth Way reported a group of juveniles with a taser. No taser was found. 8:20 p.m. a caller from Mirror Court reported a dog had been barking for 6 hours. And Sunday, 10:38 a.m., a caller from 2000 block on Nevada City Highway reported a man going through the dumpsters who agreed to move on. 2:02 a.m., a caller from Dorsey Drive reported 4 people had been near vehicles and set off a car alarm before running from the area. And Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Friday, 8:20 a.m., a caller from Dog Bar and Taylor Crossing Roads reported vandalism to mailboxes and possible theft of mail. 1:06 p.m., a woman from 20,000 block of Cruzon Grade Road reported a person violated a restraining order and put stakes in front of her driveway. And 1:20 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Comby Road reported identity theft. And 1:05 p.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Wheatland Drive reported an out-of-control burn pile. And 2:35 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of River Rock Road reported identity theft. And 3:20 p.m., a caller from Sergeant Jacobs Drive reported ongoing trespassing by dirt bikers. At 4:03 p.m., a caller from Highway 49 in and Tyler Foot Crossing Road reported a man and a woman in a physical fight. They could not be located. 4:43 p.m. a caller from 17,000 block of Old Mill Road reported a person brandished a knife. And 5:18 p.m. caller from 14,000 block of Hydraulic Ridge Close reported a man and a woman prowling who could not be located. 6:55 p.m. a caller from 15,000 block of Sunny Hill reported a neighbor banging on a door and yelling obscenities. And 9:08 p.m. a caller from 14,000 block of Rough and Ready Highway reported a possible blown transformer or downed power line. 9:40 p.m. caller from South Ponderosa Way and McCourtney reported a large party and an extremely loud explosion. And Saturday, 7:11 a.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Inverness Way reported a possible mail theft. 9:39 a.m., a caller from North San Juan reported an assault near Goodyear's Bar with 4 men leaving the scene and a vehicle southbound on Highway 49. And 10:38 a.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Rough and Ready Road reported a man lying on the side of the road who was taken to the hospital. And 10:53 a.m., a caller from 16,000 block of Tierra Road reported a dog had attacked a mini horse last week and a llama today. 11:27 a.m., a caller from Brewer Road and Lodestar Drive reported a vehicle with a spotlight driving slowly through the area at 3 a.m. Request for extra patrols. 12:01 p.m., a caller from 20,000 block of Wildwood West Drive reported 2 vehicles' tires had been slashed. 2:04 p.m., a caller from 1,000 block of North Star Mine Road reported several dead pigs had been dumped on private property. And 2:39 p.m., a caller from Jackass Flats and Tyler Foot Crossing Roads reported a person threw wood in a woman's face and pushed her to the ground. She was arrested on a warrant. And 2:45 p.m., a caller from Lowell Hill and Dutch Flat Crossings Roads reported about 15 drunk people were riding quads and shooting. And 7:58 p.m., a man from 10,000 block of School Street reported the theft of 4 steaks from his freezer in the last 45 minutes. And 8:06 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Bartlett Drive reported 2 cars racing up and down the street, then an argument with one person using a GoPro. The situation was mediated. And Sunday, 1:15 a.m., a caller from Skeeter Hollow and Buckeye Roads reported a woman screaming and possibly banging on a vehicle. No one was located. She gets around, doesn't she? 3:37 a.m., a caller from 17,000 block of Lightfoot Way reported 20 gunshots. 5:45 a.m., a caller from Highway 174 and Empire Mine Crossroads reported a tree across the roadway. And that's it for the blotter today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, plea agreement nets felon with firearm 2 years in state prison. In our first story, a convicted felon facing 2 separate cases in which he was reportedly found to be in possession of a gun took a plea agreement in Nevada County Superior Court Tuesday in return for 2 years in state prison. Mid-September last year, James Ryan Karpus was arrested when a vehicle in which he was a passenger was pulled over for reportedly running a stop sign. The driver reportedly had a small tin container with suspected methamphetamine residue on his person and was determined to be under the influence of a controlled substance. After the vehicle was searched, a deputy reportedly located a small baggie of suspected meth on the ground, reportedly dropped by the driver. Subsequent search of the vehicle uncovered a revolver under the front passenger seat. Karpus was arrested on suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance and being an ex-felon in possession of a firearm. Then, in November, Karpus was pulled over while driving by a Nevada County Sheriff deputy. Karpus was on search and seizure bail terms, and his vehicle was searched by a narcotics officer who reportedly located a small amount of methamphetamine, needles, a 12-gauge shotgun, 22 caliber rifle. In that case, he was charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. He was set to have a preliminary hearing into the evidence against him Tuesday, but instead opted to plead no contest to the gun possession charges in both cases in return for 2 years sentence to be served concurrently. The misdemeanor domestic violence case was dismissed, while a failure to appear would be dismissed at sentencing, which was scheduled for April 27th. If Karpus fails to appear for sentencing, judge can sentence him to a maximum of 3 years and 8 months. Couple in the horses neglected case must pay nearly $7,000 in restitution. A couple charged in June 2014 on felony animal cruelty charges and took a plea agreement in return for 2-year probation must pay the county more than $6,000 in restitution. Criminal complaint alleges 3 horses owned by Greg and Lana Lutz of Quail Creek Road were emaciated and in need of medical attention. Investigation has been ongoing for Lutz property since May 1st. Animal control officers executed a search warrant and impounded 2 horses. A 3rd horse had been seized earlier that year. Oh, by the way, the horse in this picture is not one of those, just an example. Greg Lutz subsequently appealed Nevada County seizure of his horses to the Board of Supervisors, but the supervisors voted unanimously to deny the appeal. Lutz each were charged with 3 felony counts of failing to provide proper food and sustenance to the 3 horses. Also have been charged with 1 misdemeanor count of resisting or delaying a peace officer and 1 misdemeanor count of concealing evidence after Greg Lutz reportedly tried to conceal 2 horses by taking them away from the property. They subsequently each pleaded no contest to 1 count of concealing evidence in return for 2 years probation and credit for time served. They are not allowed to own horses and while on probation and are subject to search terms. After restitution hearing last week, Judge Robert Tice Raskin took the matter under submission and issued a ruling Tuesday that the Lutzes must refund county animal control impound fees, trailering fees, and staff time totaling $410. He also ruled they must pay boarding costs for the 2 horses to Sammy's friends, as well as supplemental feeding and veterinary costs totaling $6,352. That's it today.
Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon, I could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Grass Valley Television brings you local and world news, and we broadcast our 30-minute show 6 times a day on NCTV, Public Access, Comcast Cable, Channel 11 and 18. Also, we're on Sudden Link, Channel 16 and 18. We have 3 amazing series: Music, a 30-minute weekly show that airs 4 times a week, and Pride, Integrity, Guts, and Service, hosted by Sheriff Keith Royal and me on a bi-monthly series, plays 4 times a week. We're your community media, and if you have a business and would like to underwrite our shows, we offer almost 200 30-second spots a month on Comcast and Sudden Link. We also stream live on NevadaCountyTV.org and video on demand there, and our own websites, GVTV.org and GrassValleyTelevision.com. We also post to several Facebook pages and YouTube, Vimeo, Blip.tv, and many other sites on the web where we mirror our shows. We provide 30-second spots and a 60-second spot for you to embed on your webpage or whatever you want to do with it. For more information, you can call us 362-8889 or email grassvalleytelevision@gmail.com. We will be happy to explain how your support of us will help us support